Greetings! I'm Sarah, the director and editor of this project. This is Phoebe, our scriptwriter. Meet our researchers, Aimpu and Susu. This project serves as a final grade and is meant to enlighten the audience, so please enjoy.
Agricultural inefficiency.
Food waste due to agricultural inefficiency.
Agriculture unquestionably has advantages and drawbacks. While progressively improving, it is also running into obstacles. In the shadow, challenges arise and are disregarded since they are viewed as inconsequential in comparison to other crises the group confront. How and by what means can this be solved? This video will be split out into 3 sections: understanding, identifying, and incorporating, and will cover the following topics.
Food waste from organic sources isn't as hazardous as waste from chemicals. Many overlooks still contribute to the problem. In the light of the pandemic, stands to reason that there might be an increase in organic waste due to food loss, industrial causes, and overconsumption. Because of the exorbitant costs associated with everything from factory manufacturing to purchasing real items, anything that doesn't meet consumers and industry requirements will be put up for sale.
Students are taught by schools throughout the world about how global warming has a substantial influence on crop layers and harvest delay. Most people, however, are unaware that organic waste contributes to global warming, but it is incredibly hard to see changes without taking drastic measures because of customer overproduction and last-minute production cancellations.
The majority of the populace is informed about the rise in organic waste and is becoming aware that organic waste is useless. What would you say if I asked you how you might reduce food waste? Of course, composting would come to mind, right? Many suggest composting it or giving it away to stray animals or the homeless. However, if these solutions are so widely known and effectively utilized, why is organic waste still a problem? And it isn't practical to produce it on a wider scale if you take manufacturing costs into account, one said by Xia Chan.
If individuals acted responsibly, organic waste could be easily avoided. We'd like to present a range of possibilities and take into account the objectives. Therefore, we present the 5 R's: reduce, reuse, recycle, recovery, and refinery.
Reduce. This might refer to practices like using sustainable cooking methods and working to produce the least amount of waste as possible. Being sustainable does not require you to produce zero waste, but it does ask you to be conscious of your waste production and seek out ways to reduce waste that is not essential.
Reuse. It includes donating foods to either food banks or food pantries. You could use leftovers that you will otherwise toss away. Many recipes for repurposing leftovers may be found online, and you may discover new meals to make with just a little motivation.
Recycle. Recycling involves factors like biofuels and biogas. We advise you to donate your organic waste to organizations that specialize in this issue, as this might be problematic in some cases. However, as long as you determine, nothing is impossible.
Recovery. It can be linked to things such as bioplastic. Although bioplastic isn't all that well recognized right now, influencers may be able to spread awareness of it by using networks such as Facebook and Instagram. Although it is a fantastic substitute for regular plastic, don't be shocked if these goods first cost pricier.
Refinery. It may include things such as biofertilizers. This is a low-cost technology that has been successfully adopted in Myanmar. Bokashi Myanmar introduced a sustainable approach to reducing food waste in households and food services in 2018. Not only does it need advanced technology, it also aids in resource recovery, economic benefits, and greenhouse gas avoidance, resulting in a minimal negative environmental effect.
Speaking of biofertilizers, did you know that the best approach to refinery isn't through composting? Interestingly, fermentation offers even more advantages than simple composting. Let's visualize it for you. If you choose to compost, 1. You lose roughly 70% of your nutritional value. 2. It creates unwanted odors and ends up in lesser quantities. 3. It takes up quite some space and is generally messy. However, if you do choose to ferment, 1. The nutritional value is the same or even higher. 2. It creates no odors and quantities of mass stay the same. 3. It takes up far less space and storage being mess-free. To make you convinced, we will walk you through the Bokashi method step-by-step fermentation procedure and then showcase the incredible outcome. Sarah will be taking over from here.
anchorages in bokashi are a chosen approach for biofermentation. Bokashi is a composting method that has been long practiced in Japan's agriculture to improve this style. It consists of two major components, organic waste and effective microorganisms, to inoculate the waste with microbes that will contribute to the fermentation process. In addition, it uses an aerobic method, which means without air moisture to break down the food leftovers. This contrasts with the composting, which decomposes by aerobic process, in other words, composting with air. The use of effective microorganisms has made the bokashi fermentation process much quicker, and the entire procedure can be completed in as little as 4 weeks. This demonstration is divided into 3 sections. Explanation, exploration, and application cover the topics as shown here. Essentially, the procedure consists of 2 steps that may take approximately 2 weeks each. Understanding how to exactly carry out a thriving bokashi bin and properly decompose is fundamental. So, to begin, prepare an airtight bucket to serve as the bokashi bin, and the size should suit your preferences, since depending on the size of the bucket used, the entire procedure can take roughly 4 weeks to 3 weeks. Next, gather the kitchen's organic waste, which may include leftover dairy products, vegetables, and other items. If possible, cut the waste materials before adding them to the bin each day, since even though they will decompose, larger objects will take longer to ferment than the smaller ones. On each layer of the kitchen scraps, spray a liberal layer of bokashi solution or sprinkle the bran. However, use no more bran than necessary. The purpose is to inoculate the waste with microorganisms to contribute to the fermentation process. And that's as simple as that. Clearly, microbes are crucial in this process, so is the bokashi bran. However, bokashi bran is not widely accessible in places such as Myanmar and may be pricey. This is why we were determined to discover new low-cost options that could be done readily at home. We've come up with 2 alternatives that can be done reasonably easily anywhere, anytime, therefore by anybody, as long as the primary supplies such as water are readily available in 3 straightforward steps. Step 1. Extracting the rice starch. In a ratio of 1:2, rub the rice in water until the liquid is opaque white, where the rice starch is extracted in this stage. Pour the rice water into a container and allow it to ferment for a few days. When it starts to smell distinctly cheesy or sour, it has begun to ferment. Step 2. Rice water cultured with milk. When curd and whey start to separate, mix fermented rice water into lactobacillus milk at a ratio of 1:10 and let it ferment for a couple of days. Now that the whey is infused with lactobacillus, it can be operated to generate EMA in the place of EM1. Step 3. Final mixture of EMA and molasses. Dissolve the equal amounts of molasses and whey thoroughly. As a side note, if molasses is not available where you live, you must still make molasses by heating the sugarcane juice, which is how I made mine. Then combine the mixture with tap water at a ratio of 1:18. Place it in a container with a loose fitting lid and let the microorganisms a week to thrive in a cool, dry environment. At this stage, it is critical to allow some air circulation to avoid high gas pressure from amassing in the container. If left unattended and securely sealed, it might cause bursting. Making the EM-activated solution is now complete, and starting the bokashi bin is feasible as soon as the fermentation process is over. However, if you desire to make the bokashi bin, step 4 must be undertaken. One thing to bear in mind is that EMAs and bokashi bin both function flawlessly and produce successful attributes. Therefore, making the bokashi bin is not mandatory unless detecting experimentation is your intention. Step 4. Inoculating the wheat bran. Mix the desired quantity of wheat bran and EM-activated solution thoroughly in a large container. Keep in mind that you may still use rice hulls or rice bran as a substitute for wheat bran, just like what I'm doing right now. As long as there is enough liquid in the mixture, the bran should be moist but not wet at this stage, and it should be able to form balls that can be readily torn apart. While it is assimilating into the bran, the molasses will function as a nourishment for the bacteria. Once completed, transfer the mixture into a black trash bag, seal the bag after removing as much air as attainable, and allow it to sit for at least 2 weeks. Give the lactose bacteria the most chance to thrive. Here are the successful results of decomposing soil from both bokashi bins after fermentation with our homemade bran and EM-activated solution. Wait, how do we decompose again? Back to our main bokashi bin. Once 2 weeks of fermentation is over, the bin can be decomposed and turned into swale with just a simple step of layering swale and the fermented waste. Leave it aside for at least 2 weeks. It is not conceivable to employ this as abundantly nutrient-rich soil, and it is the ideal opportunity to examine if it's superior to regular soil for crop cultivation. Thus, the final procedure that will be demonstrated in this project is contrasting the growth of eggplant in organically decomposed bokashi soil and regular garden soil. We've got two identically sized eggplant plants that have been growing for a month and are currently at the budding stage. One of them will be planted in a soil that has been organically degraded and the other in the typical garden soil. We won't be comparing the plant's growth, just to be clear. Once more, fruit growth, not plant growth. The growth of the eggplant fruits is a variable to be assessed 20 days after the soil is added. At the same time, the type of soil is a variable that differs, while the other factors such as light intensity, temperature, carbon dioxide concentration, and amount of water are kept constant to provide a fair test and an accurate result. Our results provided that the plant grown in bokashi soil has significantly higher flower and fruit production compared to the one grown in the regular garden soil. The bokashi soil plant had a remarkably larger size of eggplant fruit than the regular soil plant, with more fruit sets than flowers. Now, the two eggplant fruits will be weighed in order to discover which has the larger mass despite the size and look. The bokashi soil with a mass of 280 grams. The regular soil with only 100 grams. Furthermore, we observed that the bokashi soil plant had larger and healthier looking leaves and stems than the regular garden soils. This suggests that the bokashi soil provided more nutrients and moisture to the plant, which may have contributed to its higher flower and fruit production.
Since everyone's circumstances are different, some methods might not have worked for you.
There may be further alternatives that we haven't mentioned, but if you ever have the enthusiasm and time, we strongly recommend that you give some a try.
Thank you for giving us your time and energy for this presentation. It is so much appreciated since everyone on our team put a great deal of effort into it.
This is brought to you by yours truly, the Four Charms. We hope you thoroughly learned from and loved our presentation. Thanks and have a fabulous day ahead.